What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have the arrival of the new Myutant Archetype, showcased by Ruggles. Shout out to him. He did a great job. He made an awesome video, as he always does. Very high production quality and all that stuff. But I told you about this about a week ago, saying that today was the day that Ruggles would reveal all 14 cards for this new archetype. So today we're going to be going through those. I'm not actually going to be watching the video here, but I already watched it. So if you want to do that, obviously go through and watch his video. But I just want to talk about the new archetype, and I don't have time to wait for it to come out on Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization, so I'm just going to be going through it on the video. So, without further ado, let's hop into this. We're going to start off with the low-level monsters, or at least the starters, per se, which would start us off with Myutant ST46. Okay, this is a psychic effect monster, level 3, and it's a water attribute. 500 attack, 0 defense. Not very beefy, but it's not staying on the field. Because if this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can add one mutant spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Also, you contribute this card, then banish one card from your hand or face-up field to special summon a monster from your hand or deck based on the banished card. If you banished a monster, you get to special summon a mutant beast from the deck. If you banish a spell, you get to summon a mutant mist from the deck. And if you banish a trap, you can summon a mutant arsenal from the deck. And obviously both effects are hard once per turns, but honestly, not bad at all, because on summon this is getting you either a spell or trap, so you are already guaranteed just off of this card set up to do either mutant mist or mutant arsenal, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But pretty nasty card, right? It's a Stratos on summon, get yourself an archetype spell or trap. Then it has a tag out effect for a boss monster. Not too bad. I really don't dislike this one, which then takes us to where are we at? There we go. Nope. Hold on. There we go. Then we have Mutant M05. This is the card that they showcased originally, artwork-wise. He's level 2 water psychic effect monster. By the way, I called it. I told you guys it was probably psychic and not reptile, but still, we needed psychic archetypes anyway. It has 0 attack and 500 defense, but it kind of has similar effects to ST, so it's not staying on the field. It reads, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a mutant monster from your deck to your hand except for itself. Also, you contribute this card and banish a card from hand or face-up field to special summon one of these monsters based on the cards. It's the same thing. Monster is beast, spell is mist, trap is arsenal. Obviously both hard ones per turn. So same thing, except this one on summon is searching you a monster, not a spell or trap. But both of these are great starters. If you're not using the second effect, they're at least a +1. You probably need to use the second effect, though. I will say that. Just based off of what I've seen for the other, like the rest of the archetype, but still pretty good. I'm not complaining. Those are your two actual starter cards, which then takes us to there we go, which takes us to Beast. Okay, Beast is pretty nasty. Sorry, it's a little bit cut off here. Let's see. There we go. All right. So Beast is our next boss monster here. He is, shoot, man, getting all frazzled. Not used to doing videos like this. He's a level 8 Earth beast effect monster. Of course, he's a beast. Jesus. 2400 attack, 2400 defense. Pretty beefy. His effect reads, he cannot be special summoned except by a mutant card. Okay. Your opponent cannot target this card with monster effects. All right, nice little protection effect. It's not unaffected, but it is just untargetable. And you can only use each of the following effects of Beast once per turn. When your opponent activates a spell card or effect, quick effect, you can banish one card from your hand or field to negate the activation. And if you do, banish that card. Also, if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can target one of your banished mutant traps and add it back to your hand. Okay, so overall, I think it's a decent card, right? It's a spell negate, essentially. It's not just a negate, but it's a negate and banish. So in matchups like Eldritch or Strikers, they kind of want their spells to end up in grave. You're not just negating them, you're negating them, just saying banished, gone, get them up out. And that's actually a little bit more. Plus, Also, if he's destroyed, he does get you the bonus effect of potentially adding a mutant trap back to your hand. We'll get to those a little bit later on. Obviously, you've seen how they can end up there because you have to just even use this negate. You have to banish a card from your hand or field. Same thing with the low-level monsters. You got to banish a card from hand or face-up field. So, and then tack on the monster protection effect is honestly pretty cool. So, not a bad first boss monster, especially if they all just like have versatility like that. Oh, I honestly should have just waited till I got to this point. There we go. This is much better. So next up we have Mutant Mist. This is another level 8, but it's Wind Spellcaster. 2,700 attack, 2,900 defense. So it's a little bit more beefier than Beast. You cannot be special summoned except by a mutant card. Your opponent cannot target this card with spell effects. Again, not a bad effect. I mean, if strikers ever come back in the format, definitely like stuff like that. Definitely a strong card versus those. And you can only use the other effects once per turn. When your opponent activates a trap card or effect, as a quick effect, you can banish a card from your hand or field to draw 2 cards. So you don't actually negate the trap, but you do just +2 off of it, which is pretty cool. And if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can target one of your banished mutant monsters and add it to your hand. So very commonly, just to get this out, you're probably going to be using a mutant monster to get banished. So this is like always going to be live, so your opponent really doesn't want to destroy this card because it just sets you up for a follow-up play. And this is an interesting one because I'm not sure if you would ever main this unless we were really in like a trap format. But maybe if we are in a format where like one of the top decks is something like, you know, something like Eldritch that like really is activating traps every single turn. Maybe this is like a side deck. Throw it as a one-of in the side deck, and when you're in that matchup, you add it in because it's just going to allow you to outgrind them, outpace them in terms of card advantage. So pretty nasty. I think it's another really good card there, which takes us to our final boss monster, which is, or at least main deck boss monster, which is Mutant Arsenal. Yeah, he's a level 8 fire machine this time, so different attributes, kind of cool. 3,000 attack, 1,000 defense, so the biggest of them all attack-wise. Obviously, you can't be summoned except by a mutant card. Your opponent cannot target him with trap cards, and all of his other effects are hard once per turns, which include when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand or field, then target 1 monster on the field and banish it. So again, does not negate, but it does respond to a monster effect by just like banishing a monster on the field, which is actually not that bad. It kind of reminds me of like Ballardrock's effects. Like it says like if a zombie activates, you can banish a zombie on field. This guy's kind of the same. Just if a monster activates, banish a monster. Still a nice disruption, not complaining at all. I think it's pretty good. All right, and also if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, has to be destroyed by an opponent's card, you can target one of your banished mutant spells, add it back to your hand. So 1 adds back traps, 1 adds back monsters, 1 adds back spells. All comes full circle, right? So this one's a pretty good one as well. I think this one might be the best one overall, the disruption effect. Like Beast is restricted to only disrupting spell effects. He actually does like disrupt monsters, which is probably more important in today's game. As well as his float gets you a spell, and obviously spells tend to be better than traps, but interesting. I think they're all potentially playable. We'll have to see what, depending on the format, which ones end up being better in the situation. Which takes us to our extra deck. We're going to start off with Mutant Synthesis. This is another boss monster. Fusion card, actually. It requires 2 mutant monsters with different attributes. He is a, level 9? Level 9 water psychic. So again, psychic. Told ya. And it has 2,500 attack, 2,000 defense. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it. Okay, like listen, it's targeting destruction and it's not a quick effect, so you definitely could say that's like a weaker removal effect. But you'll see why it matters in a little bit. Also, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can activate this effect, quick effect, you can chain this effect for the rest of this turn, or you can activate this effect, whoops. For the rest of this turn, this face-up card is unaffected by the effects of an opponent's cards of the same type, monster, spell, or trap, as that card, if this face, as long as it's, for the rest of the turn. Jesus, I'm reading ahead. So pretty much that's a really cool effect that just says, once they activate something, you can choose if you're like, ooh, strikers, they activated a spell, boom. I'm now unaffected by spells for the rest of the turn. How do you out me? You're going to have to like set a Widow Anchor and try and Widow Anchor me next turn, or wait for the following turn. But I can still do this every single turn if you're starting with a card that like that I can like obviously like feel comfortable using this effect on. So very annoying effect, and he's pretty beefy too, so it definitely could be a problem to get this guy off the field. But also, if this card is if this fusion summon card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can add one of your banished mutant cards back to your hand. So same thing. That's another really strong thing. We've seen that before. It's something with like Unchained. The whole archetype doesn't want to get destroyed. None of these boss monsters want to be outed via destruction. Otherwise, you're giving your opponent free resources back to just set up again. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I like this card a lot. And then that shows us into our next fusion card, which is... Nope. There we go. Myutant Ultimus. Okay, this is another one. This one is level 10, I believe. Dark Psychic Effect Monster. 3,500 attack, 3,000 defense. Shoo, another big boy. He requires 3 level 8 or higher mutants, so you're probably using like a couple of boss monsters, which is kind of tough. But if you can get him out, when a card or effect is activated, you can banish a mutant card from your hand, graveyard, or field of the same type. Negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. So not only is it a negate and destroy, it's a negate and banish, which is just even better. So that's pretty nice. It does require you to have access to the exact same type of card though, so that definitely is something to keep in mind. But if this fusion summon card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can add up to 3 of your banished mutant cards, up to 1 each of monster, spell, and trap, to your hand. So talk about floats, man. If they have to out him via destruction, you could get potentially 3 cards back to hand, and at that point, what was the point in destroying him, right? So again, another awesome boss monster, but his summoning requirements are a little bit steep. So I think the other one probably will see more play just because it's a little bit more manageable to get on the field. But yeah. Which takes us to our first trap of the archetype, Mutant Cry. Okay, this is a normal trap card. You can only activate it once per turn, and it reads as follows. During the main phase, you can fusion summon 1 mutant fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it into the deck from among your cards on the field, in your graveyard, and or your face-up banished cards. So the biggest thing here is to keep in mind with Synthesis, you get to like shuffle any two mutant monsters with different attributes to then immediately summon out Synthesis and then trigger his effect to pop something. Then he's also live to, if your opponent tries to continue from there, to make himself unaffected by some more card effects, and also has the float effect alive as well. So this is actually a pretty cool combination. I think this will probably be a staple in the archetype. It's searchable off of the first little egg guy as well, so pretty searchable, which is nice. And it seems like a pretty good like disruption card, like pretty good play on your opponent's turn. Combine this with like one other decent disruption, and we're going places, right? Which then takes us down the line to a couple more spells here. We have Mutant Fusion, another fusion card that reads, it's a normal spell by the way, fusion summon 1 mutant fusion monster from your extra by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your hand or field, and if your opponent has activated a card or effect this turn, you can use up to 1 monster each from your deck and graveyard as fusion material as well. This card's interesting, but unfortunately I don't think it'll see play. I think if this deck's going to see any kind of competitive play, I think we're going to see this card and the big fusion most likely get cut, just because the requirements are just so steep. Like, I get it, your opponent will activate a hand trap, your opponent will try to disrupt you, which makes this card live to get that like bonus, like easier to summon effect. But can you even do this in 1 turn? It seems like it's actually kind of tough to even get this off in 1 turn, at least for the big boy. Not the small boy, but the big boy specifically. And it's not a quick effect, so like nowhere near as utilitarian as the trap is, in my opinion. So I think this card's like not bad, but I just think the requirements are a little bit steep. But I guess when you have a 14 card archetype to start out, like not everything's going to be a massive hit. So that's totally fine by me. Which takes us to our field spell. This is called Mutant Evolution Lab. When it's activated, you can special summon 1 of your level 4 or lower mutant monsters from your hand or that is banished. Okay, so that kind of allows you to extend your little guys out of your hand and then tribute to get into even more monsters. That's pretty cool. Also, mutant monsters you control gain 100 attack for each of your banished mutant cards with different names. Okay, so that can get you a nice little buff, allow you to push for a little more damage. And once returned during your main phase, you can place one mutant monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw one card. Now that's actually pretty cool as well, because when you have archetypes like these that are kind of forced to play those main deck boss monsters like Beast, Mist, and whatever the last guy was, the machine guy, you can easily draw them, and they can't be special summoned except by a mutant monster. So you're either banishing them, but this card also allows you to get the potential to just kind of trade them in, throw them back in the deck, draw another card, and see if you can find something a little more interesting. Now, what I would have liked to see out of this card specifically is to allow it, have an effect that would allow us to summon any mutant from hand. So even if we did draw the level 8s, we could just drop them on the field and just like add extra like layers to our board. Unfortunately, it's only the level 4 lowers, but still, I'm not complaining. I think it's an okay card. We'll see how playable this one is. It's unfortunately, you know, if field spells aren't like a +1 or like inherently amazing, we tend to not see them in the metagame as much anymore, so, or at least played in their own decks, but we'll see on this guy. He's interesting. And then we look at Mutant GB88. There was actually another main deck monster, 500 Psychic level 4 water effect monster. During the opponent's main phase, if Mutant Evolution Lab is on the field, you could special summon this card from the hand. Okay? If this card is special summoned during your opponent's turn, you could immediately tribute this card and banish a card from your hand or face-up field to special summon one of your level 8 mutant monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. Okay, so it's kind of like a recursion card. Not the best. I mean, it's not a starter. It's only like after you've already gone through some plays is this card like actually worth, and it still has to use like 2 cards just to get 1 mutant back. It's fine. Like your fusion's trying to shuffle stuff back. I don't know if this guy will see play. If he does, he's probably just a one-of. Like you try and grab him if you're in a situation where you want to like try and get one of your bosses back onto the field later in the duel. But I don't think he's overly crazy good, right? Which takes us to an equip card. I wasn't expecting that. This is a Mutant Blast. You can equip only to a level 8 or higher mutant monster you control. At the start of the damage step, if the equipped monster attacks an opponent's special summon monster, you can banish that monster immediately. Non-targeting, non-destruction, banishment. It's not the worst kind of removal, but it does take the battle phase. Also, while this card is equipped to a monster, you can banish this card to send the monster this card was equipped to the grave. And if you do, special summon a level 8 mutant monster with a different original attribute from your hand or deck. If that was a quick effect, I'd be all about this card, because that just means you could just like equip this card to one of the big main deck guys, and then you could use their effect to like, I don't know, the machine's effect to like quick effect banish a monster, then tag him into Beast, and now you have a spell negate up. Like that would be kind of cool, but unfortunately, it's not how it goes. But it also does count as a face up like mutant card that stays face up that you could banish to trigger a lot of these effects. So I think that also adds value to Blast, and something I didn't mention with the field spell as well is they do just sit face up. So they're just sitting face up waiting for you to activate an effect, and your effects can all just like banish face up cards from the field to get you into the other cards you want. So they're still not even bad to draw in that essence. And then moving on here, are we missing any cards? He mentions emergency teleport because our main starter guys are level 3 or lower psychic, so E-Tele is a pretty nasty card. The OCG has 2 and it seems to be fine. Maybe we could see E-Tele peel off the list a little bit here. I don't know, but that's definitely something also to look at. And yeah, but that's pretty much it for the mutant archetype. I think it has promise for sure. And keep in mind with TCG archetypes, we love to get support in the following sets. We have 19 TCG exclusives coming in the next set. I would not be surprised if there's another 2 or 3 mutant cards to push this archetype a little bit further. Definitely help it out. But I think it's a nice little core. You've got nice starters. You've got nice boss monsters. You have the ability to tag into those boss monsters on your opponent's turn. I think the potential is there. I don't think it's there yet, but also it can combine with a couple things like the oh my gosh, what are they called? The Nemesis archetype. Thunder Dragons potentially, because these cards just say banish a card from your hand or field. So you could just banish Thunder Dragon monsters from your hand. They get you effects to get you searches and pluses and specials and stuff. And then potentially end on Colossus plus another card. Like, that's something. They synergize with that. And then the other, I don't know, other banish relevant archetypes. You can play Giant Rex. Banish Giant Rex, just get a free Giant Rex. I don't know what you're doing with it, but I don't know. That's a card that's interesting too. So there's a couple. I'm sure there's other cards as well you could throw into this archetype, which I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. If you think there's anything I missed about this archetype, interaction-wise, or the way that it works that I didn't really piece together. This is my first time reading it with you here, so throw it down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, and I'm happy. I already like the first 3 new archetypes in this set, and I'm not upset if I pull a bunch of these cards when I buy Phantom Rage boxes next month. So, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, as always. Sorry this video is a little long, but it's 14 new cards. Sorry. I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to get out of here. Subscribe if you haven't, if you want to see more news videos from me in the future. And peace.